So let's look at the book of John, very familiar passage, the 6th chapter, reading verses 1 through 9. John 6, 1 through 9. It says, after these things, Jesus went over the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias. Then a great multitude followed him because they saw his signs, which he performed on those who were diseased. Jesus went up to the mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. Now the Passover, a feast of the Jews, was near. Then Jesus lifted up his eyes, and seeing a great multitude coming toward him, he said to Philip, where shall we buy bread that these may eat? But this he said to test him, for he himself knew what he would do. And so he's asking him a question, but Jesus already knows what's going to happen. Philip answered, and he said, 200 denarii worth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may have a little. So don't miss this. The desire is to feed the multitude. The reality of it is they don't have enough. They want to feed them, but they don't have enough to feed them. Then one of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, there is a lad here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish, but what are they among so many? And so I want to talk to you just real simple tonight on this thought. What's in your bag? Look at your neighbor and ask them, what's in your bag? What's in your bag? Something that I'm going to start off with, and I think some of you, and I'm going to date myself tonight, some of you can relate to this, but I grew up when I was a kid, when I was a teenager even, I grew up in a time that you were on the cutting edge if you had an 8-track player in your car. Some of you don't even know what an 8-track is. Is there anybody here that remembers 8 tracks? Some of y'all do. And so I can remember the days, and if you had an 8-track player in your car, you were something, and it took a huge suitcase to carry around 3 or 4 8-track tapes because they were so big. Another thing that I can remember growing up, we had a console TV. Any of you ever have the console TV? 25-inch console TV. We didn't have none of this 50-inch stuff and all that hang on the wall, and we had the real deal. We had a console TV. And here's the thing about the console TV, it didn't have a remote. Guess who was the remote? The kids were the remote control. They would say, hey, go move the rabbit ears. Go turn the channel. We need, and it wasn't that big a deal because we didn't get 833 channels. We had 3 channels, and really one of them didn't come in very well. And so it really wasn't that big a deal. But I grew up in that era where I was the remote control. When I was a kid, and some of you can remember this, we had our phones, we had a thing called a party line. And when you would pick up, and no, it wasn't a line that you got on with your friends and said, hey, you want to come over and have a party? It was a party line that you picked up, and if somebody was talking, you had to wait until they got off. And they didn't live in your house. That's how I grew up. Then we got the phones. Well, first of all, let me back up just a little bit. We had the phones you had to dial. Some kids today, you could cripple them by putting a rotary phone in their house. But I grew up where you had to do that. And I can remember because speed dial back then was when you would do it, and you'd do it real fast. Right? I mean, that was speed dial. And then we really moved up in the world. We got one of the push button phones. Yeah, see some of you. But did you have the 20-foot cord on it? Yeah, where you didn't have to stand in the kitchen or sat down by the phone. You had a 20-foot cord so you could actually go into the other room. And I'm going somewhere with this, so just hang on. Back in that day, if somebody had a car phone, the only person I knew that had a car phone was Jed Clampett. Some of y'all don't even know what I'm talking about. Some of you younger, I'll fill you in when we get done tonight. But they had a car phone, and I can remember people that had them. We didn't have one, but the car phone was about the size of a suitcase. It was huge. But if somebody had a car phone, I mean, that was crazy. But they were the rich folk. They were the ones that had it all. I mean, they had a car phone. It was crazy. And then they came out with the cell phone. I was talking to Derek before service. I can actually remember before they had cell phones. I remember before they had answering machines. And if you just missed a call, you just missed a call. But they come out with a cell phone, and all of a sudden now, everybody's got a cell phone. They come out with the iPhone, and I can't keep up with all of them. They had the iPhone 1, then the 2, then the 3, then the 4. Do you realize they keep doing that so you will buy them? And so they keep going on. And usually in my family, I'm the guy that gets the phone that nobody else wants. Everybody says, I'm getting a new phone. I'm getting a new phone. Which one do you want? Well, I'd prefer the one that the screen is still on it. I mean, that would be kind of nice for me. I really wouldn't mind that. But here's the thing that I have found. I don't really need all the fancy stuff, really. You know, if I can just make a phone call, if I can just get look things up every once in a while or get a text, that's kind of good enough for me. I don't need to have all the little gadgets on it. I really don't. I mean, really, when I got to thinking about this, I don't need another way for people to be able to get a hold of me. Look at your neighbor and say, he's going somewhere. Now, here's the situation. And please don't lose me tonight. Our ability to access the world is so big now that I don't really think God intended for our world to get this big. Now, just hang on with me. Don't jump to conclusions. I really don't think he meant it to be so big. I don't think it's healthy to have all the people that we have in our space. I don't think it's healthy for that. I don't think it's healthy to have all the people that we have in our head all the time. I mean, that's too many people. Think about it. I mean, there's too many opinions out there today. Too many opinions coming. I think that's why that we are all stressed out. People stressed out all the time. They're always tired. They can't sleep at night. You know what? I mean, they have to take a pill for everything. Well, I got to take a pill to sleep. I got to take a pill to wake up. I got to take a pill to do this. I got to take a pill to do that. We could save a lot of money if we would start getting people out of our lives and saying, hey, wait a minute, I don't need everybody. Why? Because it's getting way too loud. And so God began to speak to me this morning. He said the noise needs to stop in the church. We got news 24 hours a day. It really doesn't matter. Any time of the day and night, you can get on the news. Hear me tonight. It's too loud. It's way too loud. I don't need to read somebody's opinion about me at 2 o'clock in the morning where I can't go to sleep at night. I need to go to bed and I need to get some sleep. It's getting way too loud. I can remember when I was a kid, they had 5 o'clock news. And then if you wanted to stay up late, you would stay up at 10 and watch the 10 o'clock news. But it would last for 30 minutes. And that would include the sports, the weather, the news that was happening. It included all of that. Now, the problem is today, we hear the news 24 hours a day. Come on, please don't shut me down, because I believe God is saying, I'm trying to get the church ready. I'm trying to get them to turn off some of this noise, because 24 hours a day, the news is in your face. It's constantly in your face. It's constantly there. It's there. Anybody else? Is there anybody else tonight that just says, you know what? I'm really tired of this craziness. I'm just tired of just 24/7. I don't know about you, but I'm just kind of tired of all this stuff. Every time you turn around, every time you pull up the news, every time you try and look at something, I don't know about you, but there's sometimes that I kind of miss the lockdown. Oh no, we're laughing, but that's true. I kind of miss the lockdown, because things kind of just slowed down. I get tired of the craziness. People I don't even know commenting on my own page, telling me what their opinion is. Oh, y'all can't relate to this. People commenting about things that is none of their business. Here's what I found, and I'm going to be real transparent tonight. I have to control myself, because what I have found, there is a lot of different me's living inside of me. There's a lot of different me's, and how I respond determines which me you're going to get. And so there are times that I have to, before I respond or before I don't respond, I've got to pray about it. And I've got to say, God, make sure the pastor responds. Is there anybody here that says, oh, I can relate to you, or do we need to just dismiss and go? Is there anybody that says, Pastor, I can relate? I know what you're, and you say, well, you're just an old man. No. I'm trying to help you young people as well. I'm trying to salvage your marriage. I'm trying to save your kids. I'm trying to help you. Sometimes you got to control how you respond to certain things. Because if you respond like you really wanted to respond, a lot of times you would end up losing friends. You would lose jobs. You might even lose a spouse. And so tonight, I just want to be real with you. I don't come to you tonight with eloquent words. I didn't have time to throw all this together and make it pretty and package it up real nice. I'm just telling you what God told me. There are over 7 billion people on the planet. You know what? It's crowded. Come on, I mean, it's crowded. And I looked this up today, kind of blew me away. 6.4 billion people have mobile devices. Did you hear what I said? 6.4 billion people have mobile devices. It said on any given day, 1.93 billion people log on to Facebook. They're on your phone right now waiting to see you respond. They're waiting to see you say something. It used to be that you had your spouse, you had your kids, and you had a few friends, and you had a relationship with them. Now, we have friends that we don't even know, and every one of them have an opinion about everything in your life, and you don't even know who they are. And you say, how am I going to be set free? Oh, you can be. Let me throw a few refrigerator notes out for you. We've got more people, but we have less peace. Oh, some of you missed it. We've got more people, but we have less peace. Well, Pastor, I got 3,000 friends on my Facebook. You know what? You know about 20 of them. We've got more friends, and we've got more people and less peace. Think about this. We can wake up at any hour of the night. We can get on our phone, and we can talk to anybody across the world. But guess what? We're still lonely. What's in your bag? What's in your bag? The Lord's trying to let us know. How can you have that many people at your fingertips and still be lonely? No, I want you to think about it. How can you have that many people at your fingertips and still be lonely? Because more people, hear me, more people doesn't mean more quality. And we've lost sight of what relationships really are. No, see, this is God. I know you hear my voice. This is God talking to the church tonight. He's saying we've lost sight of what relationships really are. We're constantly looking to see how many friends and how many followers we have on social media. Hear me tonight. They don't know you and probably don't even like you. I know I've got friends on there. They don't know me. They don't know who I am. And I guarantee you they don't like me. We put our best selfie on our profile picture, and that's really not even what we look like. We don't look like that at all. They don't really know us. Some teenager selling something on Marketplace, and you go meet him, and he looks older than me, and say, man, you don't look nothing like your profile picture. Yeah, I know, I've aged a little bit. God is trying to wake us up, and he's trying to say, you know what, church, you need to stop the noise. You need to stop the noise. You need the good noise, but you need to get rid of the noise that you don't need. They don't really know us. We've got all these people with all these opinions about you, and the people with the strongest opinions don't even know you. Somebody will make a comment, and it'll keep you awake all night because you're worried about what they said. But you know what? They don't even know who you are. Let me ask us a question. Do they pay your house payment? Do they pay your electric bill? Do they fill up your refrigerator? Are they supporting your kids? If they're not, then you don't need to worry about people's opinion about you. And I know you're saying, man, pastor's getting on us tonight. I'm not getting on nobody. I'm getting on me. Because God's saying you got to stop the noise. As I was praying this morning, and I always like to pray to music, and that's great, and there's nothing wrong with it. But for some reason, I just shut it off. And I was in the auditorium by myself, and it was dead silent. And God said, that's what I'm looking for. Hear me tonight. So many times in this day and time, we cannot even hear the voice of God because there's too much noise going on. And God said, you know what? I'm trying to speak to you, but I can't talk to you because there's too much noise. There's too much stuff that is happening 24 hours a day. Whatever chaos that you want to follow, all you have to do is just jump online and you can follow it. And when you finally put your phone down at night, don't miss this. When you put it down at night to try and get some sleep, all those thoughts and all those images are going through your mind, and they're locked in your mind. That's why so many people are so strung out on so many kind of drugs. I'm not talking about the guy or the gal that's on the street. I'm talking about the one that looks like they've got it all together. They look the part. But the more people that have access to you, the more people think their opinion of you matters to you. And so we're going to get into the heart of this now. And why I really am so passionate about this, because we use up all our strengths worrying about other people's opinions. And you know what? Those people are never going to hang out with you anyway. And here's what happens, and please, please don't miss this. Please don't check out on me tonight. We don't have enough time for the people that really are in our life because we're too worried about the opinions of people that wouldn't give us the time of day anyway. Nowadays, you sit at the dinner table with the people that really do care. and you can't eat without your phone because you're too busy trying to find out what people have posted or what they've liked that you've posted on Facebook. Please don't slash my tires. I'm just the messenger. Lord, help me. I'm trying, folks. I'm trying. And the Lord's saying, I got to get you free. I would say that there's not a person that is sitting under the sound of my voice tonight that doesn't have somebody in your life that doesn't complain to you about not being there enough, not calling them enough, not texting enough, or you missed their birthday, or I would almost dare say that everybody sitting in here tonight, we know somebody that is that way. And here's the thing. Here's the problem. You say, well, what's the big deal? It's my life. Here's the big deal. We're wore out. We're wore out. In fact, in the book of Daniel, and I've used this over the years, I think it's the 7th chapter, he said in the last days, guess what? The enemy's going to wear out the saints of the Most High. And we thought he's going to wear us out with sin. No, he's going to wear us out with junk. And so what happens, we're so wore out. And you say, why is that? Because the people that make the biggest withdrawals make the least deposits. The people that make the biggest withdrawals out of your life make the least deposits. And so we're surrounded by people who, and don't miss this, we're surrounded by people who need us, but they don't feed us. So tonight I want to talk about this miracle in our text that it really doesn't make sense to me. The miracle really doesn't, because most of the time that Jesus performs a miracle, there was a crisis involved. When you find him performing miracles, you see a miracle performed. It was a blind man. And he performs a miracle. He goes to a man that was lame from his mother's womb, and he performs a miracle. There's the lady. Do you remember the lady with the issue of blood? And she crawls to Jesus and touches the hem of his garment. Now, those were real miracles that touched people's lives and set them free. And here's the thing, because he changed lives, he drew a crowd. And people came. And so he had just come across the Sea of Galilee, and the people followed him. And he goes up to the mountain, the Bible says, and he's talking to his disciples. And while he was doing this, the crowd just began to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Now think about this with me just for a moment. All he had to do was say, go home. All he had to do, he just had to say, go home. Because think about it, it really isn't a crisis. There's not a crisis. Nobody is sick. Nobody is lame. Nobody is bleeding. I mean, the crowd is they're just hungry. Have you ever noticed that? They're just hungry. It's not like that, oh man, somebody is in dire need. No, they're just hungry. I know there's times we get hungry and we think we need a miracle. But they're just hungry. But he is taking this moment, he's saying, hey, I want to teach my disciples a little lesson here. He wants them to understand that in life, sometimes there's going to be more demand than there is supply. Sometimes in life, you've got to understand, people are going to demand more from you than you can supply. We come to church and we kick the music up and we're worshiping and we're praising God and we get all excited for about an hour or so, and we forget that when it's over, we got to go back home. And here's the reality of it. Some folks can't even wait for an hour till they get on their phone and see who else is texting them. They've got to keep looking back, just like that person's going to die if you don't respond in 15 minutes. Come on, I'm trying to help us. I'm trying to help us. Let me ask you a question now. When was the last time that you spent time in a calm and stable place? When's the last time that you spent some time just in a calm place? Without your phone, without the distractions, when's the last time? Hear me tonight, because I really feel like that if we can do that, then we can figure out how we need to get out of debt. I think if we will spend some time in quiet, I think that we can figure out how we need to fix our marriage. I think if we can spend some time in quiet, then we're able to talk to our kids and maybe figure out some of the things that they're going through and be able to help them. I really think that if we would cut out some of the noise in our life, we could do a lot more for the kingdom of God. So what do you do when they want more? And you love them enough to give it to them. But the truth is, you don't have it. Oh, I'm talking to some people tonight. What happens in your life when you love them enough and you want to give it to them, you want to give them more, but you don't have it? Philip says, Jesus, we'd love to feed him, but the reality of it is, we've only got 200 denarii. We would love to. It's not that we don't want to. We would love to do it, but we just don't have it. And Philip is telling him, he's saying, look, even if we gave them little bitty crumbs, we're still going to run out. We're going to just run out. And I'm going to hit all of us here. Because what happens, there's a lot of times we give crumbs to the ones that really deserve loaves. We end up giving crumbs to the ones that really deserve loaves. What happens in a church when the lost and the hurting are coming and they really deserve loaves, but all we have to give them are crumbs? In this day and time we're living in, we wonder, why is it that families can't withstand a storm? Why is it our marriages are falling apart? Why is this happening? Well, it's because we don't have enough. It's because we don't have, just like Jesus, when the lady with the issue of blood came and he said, I felt virtue flow out of my body. Think if it could happen to Jesus. And we don't want to admit it, but when people start pulling on us in every direction, whenever people start saying, hey, I need you to help me move. I need you to help me split logs. I need you to clean my gutter. I need you to mow my yard. And if you got time, I need you to pick up some groceries for me. And if you don't mind, would you cook a meal for me while you're at it? And if you've got a minute, my phone's messed up, and could you look at my computer? And everybody, and sometime we just have to say, hey, wait a minute, the noise has got to stop in my life. Why? Because there's some people that's going to need a loaf, and all I'm going to be able to give them is a crumb. And the Lord's saying, look, we are getting ready to get into a day and time when people are going to need the loaves and not the crumbs. The issue isn't do we love big enough. We love big enough, but the reality is we're running out. I want to give to you, but there's only so much I can give. Have you ever stayed up late watching TV? I know some of you younger people, you stay up late. I'm older people. I'm talking like 8:30. Me and my wife will be sitting there and watching a movie or a TV show, and one of us inevitably will start yawning. How many of you know yawning is contagious? We want to stay up and watch it. I don't want to miss the end of it. But you know what? I just don't have enough in me to do it. Well, I tell you what, you ought to do more. I don't have anything left. I hear people all the time. Young people, I'm going to talk to you a minute. If you're under 30 years old or under 35 years old or even under 30, if you're in your 30s or less, you should not be tired all the time. I get tired of young people coming up. How you doing? I'm just wore out. What'd you do today? Well, I played 3 video games and I'm not, no, don't, no, I'm not getting on, I'm not getting, what happens, hear me, because I'm going somewhere with this. What happens is we put so much time on things that really don't matter. You really are tired. I'm not saying you're not tired. But I'm just saying that we have to prioritize. Again, people really do love to serve. I really do think you love to serve, and many of you do serve faithfully, and I believe you really want to, but I really do believe when you come and you say, I'm just tired. Now, if you're my age, 60, you are tired. I don't care. I can go to bed at 8 o'clock at night and wake up at 7 in the morning. I'm still tired. So. But here's what I know. Let me get off my notes a minute. Let me close that. Here's what the Lord just spoke to me. Younger people, hear me. We got to have your generation to help reach the lost. There are things that people my age, some of us, are not physically able to do. We need you. God needs you. No longer are the days that we look at young people and say, well, you got 20 years, you can learn. No, I think he's coming back. And I think God's saying, look, I'm getting a church that is ready. And I hear the Holy Spirit crying out, saying, look, young people, I need you to put the things up that are really just tearing you apart and tearing you down. And I need you to be rested up. Why? Because I need you to be so on fire for me that when people come in, not only here, but on your workplace as well, instead of you just dibbling out little crumbs because you're wore out from the night before, I need you to break open the 2 fish and the 5 loaves and say, hey, baby, let's sit down and let's have a real lunch. So the Lord let me know today, he said, hey, Bob, you got to understand something. It isn't that people don't love to serve. It isn't that people don't love to give to other people. He said, they're just wore out. But he said, here's what's wearing them out. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes the Lord puts us in a position where we can no longer give to them, so maybe we will give them him. Sometimes when you don't have anything else to give, then you will back off and say, you know what, I can't fix you anyway, but let me introduce you to somebody that can. So hear me. Whether you know it or not, you are a limited resource. Look at your neighbor and say, you're limited. No matter how much you love people, you can't be there for everybody. The pressure is always on you to be more than enough. And the truth is, you know what? None of us have enough to be more than enough. Oh, come on. Somebody ought to be getting set free tonight. I'm just giving you the right to start telling people. So in this text tonight, you have to notice this didn't just happen. Jesus really set him up because he said to Philip, he said, where are we going to buy bread, man? So these folks can eat. And the Bible says, you know what? He did it to test them because he already knew what they'd do. He's God in the flesh. He knew. He didn't need to ask him. And so a lot of times God will put you intentionally in a position of being overwhelmed so you will discover Him. Here's something I want you to do. I want you to stand to your feet. And we're not done. I'll let you be seated again. But I'm close to done. Look at your neighbor and say, he's close. He's close. I want you to raise your hand in this place tonight if you have ever been overwhelmed. I want you to look around you. Now, I want you to hear me really clear tonight. You have a God that is more than enough. You got a God that is more than enough. And so tonight, here's what I want to do. I want to release you tonight to let go of some things that are in your life. I want you to say, I'm going to let them go. Hear me very clearly. You are not omnipresent. You cannot be everywhere all the time. You've got to understand that. So tonight, I'm going to release it, and I'm going to say, God, I'm going to let it go tonight. And so over you right now, in Jesus' name, I declare that you're going to release some things off of your life, and that you're going to let them go, that you're not going to be bound by them anymore, and you're going to say, God, I'm ready to do the greater work. Can you stand for a few minutes? Israel, come up. I can get through this quick. Tonight you're going to be delivered from people and their accusations. Some of y'all have been accused of stuff. When I put this down today, I thought, good, because I've had people accuse me of stuff for the last 20 years. As I came in here this morning and I sat by myself and I sat right back there in that corner and I began to pray. And can I be very transparent with you tonight? I did something that I haven't done in a while. And I just began to weep before God. And God began to speak to me. And so here's what I will tell you. The spirit of release is in this place. I sensed it this morning when He entered into this room. And I really feel like the spirit of release is in this place. I feel like tonight some of you are going to get your peace back. Some of you are going to get your joy back. And so hear me again. You're not Jesus. You can't be anywhere or everywhere. And so tonight is your breakthrough night. And so Jesus, I really believe He created the problem so they could see their limitation. And so Philip tells Jesus, said, you know what? We would love to feed them all, but we don't have enough for their demands. Now I want to ask you something. I want to give you a minute or so to think about it. In your life, how much is expected of you? From family, from friends. How much is expected of you? Can you think of things that you say, man, why do they? Sometimes our kids expect a lot from us. How much is expected? And so all of a sudden they spoke up and said, wait a minute, Jesus said, there's a little kid here. He's got a couple fish and about 5 pieces of bread. Here's what I know. When you run out, you get desperate. When you run out, you begin to get desperate. Now they're down to taking a kid's lunch. Mama packed his lunch for him, and now they're so desperate. They're like, we don't have anything. Take the kid's lunch. Man, that is hungry whenever you will take a sack from a little boy. The little brown bags. I brought mine from when I was in kindergarten. Oh, my. That bag is 56 years old. Not really. My wife bought it today, but back when I was a kid, we didn't have those little fancy lunch boxes. You know, all those superheroes and stuff on them. There wasn't even any superheroes back when I was a kid. That's all we had. We used the same one until our lunch kept falling out the bottom. I had 3 older sisters, so I had to use all theirs. And so they take the little boy's lunch, 2 fish and 5 loaves. I want you to think about that for a minute. 2 fish and 5 loaves. What's 5 plus 2? So there's 7 items in the little brown bag. Then they asked the question, but really, what is this among so many? What is it among so many? Don't miss it. 7 is the number of completion. Hear me tonight. You got to get whole before you can ever help anybody else. That's what the Lord's trying to do. Love and Truth Craneville, he said, I want to get you whole. Because once I get you whole, then you can start helping other people. But I got to get you whole. You've got to be okay. You got to be okay. You have to be okay. You got to have 7 in your bag. You got to have 7. What's in your bag? What's in your bag? You got to have 7. You got to have the two fish and the 5 loaves. Now I know this crowd is crazy, and the 2 fish and the 5 loaves look so insignificant. What is it among so many? And so many times you're asking the same question. I've asked the same question. My wife's asked the same question. What are we among so many? Jesus is saying, you know what? I'll unlock a miracle for you. I will take your not enough and make it enough if you'll just give it to me. If you'll just say, here, Jesus. He'll take your not enough and he'll make it enough. The Bible says that he took it. He took our not enough. He took a kid that was raised up in Craneville, didn't go to college, didn't come from a wealthy family, didn't come from a bunch of preachers in their background, didn't really know anything other than love people. He took a guy like that and said, you know what? If you'll just give it to me. If you'll just give it to me. See, I'm not that guy. I'm not your guy that you can come in my office and see all my credentials. You can't really see any of that stuff when you come in my office. But what you can see is a brown bag that I said, Jesus, it's yours. I don't have much, but I'm going to give it to you. And God will take that bag that you give him, and he will use it. He will multiply it. And he'll say, I don't care where you came from. You're more than enough. So the devil wants you to feel like you're insufficient tonight. He wants you to feel that. The devil wants you to feel that way. But you know what? With God, you're more than enough. So you take it and you give it to Jesus. And you say, you know what? Tonight's my breakthrough night. And here's the cool thing in Deuteronomy. The Bible said that the enemy came in one way, but he left 7 different ways. And so guess what's happening tonight? the enemies came in against you, but that dude's about ready to run out in 7 different ways, because all of a sudden what's happening right now, you're saying, I'm going to take that little brown bag and I'm going to give it to Jesus Christ. And so what I want us to do tonight, if you say, you know what, Pastor, I want to give, let's just back up. Pastor, I'm tired. And I want to give my brown bag to Jesus. I can't, because of tonight, I understand I can't do it all. I can't be it all. I can't do those things. If that's you, I want you to make your way up to the front, and I'm going to pray over you. And you say, I'm giving it to Him. I'm giving it to Him. Tonight's a breakthrough night. So this word that God gave me today is just for me. I'll take it. I don't mind. I'll be the only one up here, and I'll say, God, I give you this bag tonight. I'm going to give it. I'll just give it to Him. God, I'm going to put the bag down on the altar. It's yours. It's yours. God, it's yours. Because here's what I know. When we give it to Him, all of a sudden, all hell gets nervous. All hell gets nervous. And when you start adding God to the equation, you can look at the enemy and say, guess what, enemy? I got enough in my bag. I got enough in my bag. And so I believe tonight, those of you that come up, I want to pray over you tonight, because I believe that God is going to strengthen what you've got tonight. I think He's going to strengthen what you've got. And so I want you to think about it. In fact, I want you to come up. I want you to just come in close. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming up, saying, God, I'm going to give it to you. Because here's what I know. There's a lot of tired folk. Until they learn to give it to Him, they're going to stay tired. Here's the thing. When you think about the miracles in the Bible, most of them came from something small. It was something small. There was a jar of oil, just a handful of meal. You had 2 fish and you had 5 loaves. And I think it was just little pieces of bread because it was a kid's lunch. And here's the cool thing. When Jesus said they gave it to Jesus, if you notice, Jesus took it and He said, watch this. And He made it even smaller. He started breaking it up. He started breaking it up and made it smaller and smaller. But guess what? The Bible said He blessed it. Here's what God's saying. For you 5 here tonight, here's what He's saying. He's saying, give me what you have. And He's saying, I don't care how small it is. He's saying, tonight I'm going to bless it. He said, I'm going to bless it. I'm going to bless it tonight. And when I get finished blessing it, and I break it and I distribute it, guess what? You're not going to be tired. He said, in fact, you're going to have leftovers. The kid packs it up and he takes it home because Jesus blessed it. And so tonight, Israel, I want you to sing.
You are Jireh.
God's going to bless it. He's going to bless it.
Jireh.
And so I'm going to make my way down there and I'm going to be praying. And I want to pray for you.
And I will,
because I'm going to believe tonight that God's going to bless. He's going to bless you. He's going to bless you tonight.
You are enough.